I Love Lucy ran from 1951 to 1957 and featured the popular Fred and Ethel Mertz, portrayed by William Frawley and Vivian Vance respectively. Despite their on-screen chemistry, Vance despised Frawley. One of the most publicized feuds in Hollywood began as an innocent friendship. After years of trying to keep quiet, Hollywood finally gave in. Once you find out what Frawley did, you'll know why he stayed in Vivian's mind forever. I want you to know that this story isn't going to be your typical lighthearted fare. Make sure you don't miss this. This is the first day on set for Lucille Ball's new show, I Love Lucy, which would go on to become a smash hit. However, that was unknown to everyone present. They were merely piecing together the pieces sequentially. Being a total badass, Lucy knew exactly what she wanted to do with her life. She had her mind made up about the actress she wanted to play, Ethel Mertz, the talented Bea Benaderet. However, Bea was fully booked and extremely busy. There was no way she could pull it off. Oh, how disappointing. Mary was clever enough to pull it off, and Lucy's close friendship with Mary led her to reconsider her original plan and ask, "Okay, Plan B, why not call Mary Wicks?" Mary declined the position out of concern for their friendship rather than a lack of interest in the position itself. To prevent things from getting awkward between them, she essentially declined. "Just give us a moment to be impressed by how dedicated they are." Who even does that anymore? Desi Arnaz, who was Lucy's husband, was heavily involved in the background. Believe me when I say he wasn't simply Ricky Ricardo. He exerted considerable influence over the casting process and worked tirelessly to ensure that the appropriate actors were chosen. If everyone worked together on the most watched television show of all time, surely they would get along better. Behind the scenes of I Love Lucy, though, something was happening that viewers had no idea about. According to Vivian Vance, William Frawley was terrible. It was full-on animosity, not merely a little fighting here and there. The true inquiry, however, is why. When two actors who portrayed a loving married couple on screen couldn't even be in the same room together, what went wrong? Stay tuned, because once we uncover Vance's true animosity towards Frawley, you won't be able to watch I Love Lucy the same way. I mean, seriously, the conclusion? Quite peculiar. Lucy had previously collaborated on a film with legendary character actor James Gleason, Miss Grant Takes Richmond. On the part of Fred Mertz, she believed he would shine. Their professional relationship was flourishing, and she detected potential. But what was wrong with that? His desired rate was $3,500, 0 cents each performance. Is that something you truly think? It was a substantial sum in those days. According to the company, absolutely not. So now we're starting all over again. Suddenly, William Frawley appears. He has appeared in nearly 100 films, is 64 years old, and is known for his comedic roles. A complete package was this man. Prior to being summoned, he arrived. Absolutely not. Upon picking up the phone, he personally dialed Lucy's number. CBS? Oh no, it would be rejected. He was unnecessary for them. Frawley appeared to have a reputation for being somewhat, no, more than that, intoxicated. Nevertheless, Arnaz advocated on his behalf. He did, in fact, stand up for this man. However, Frawley was forced to sign a document by Desi that stated, "If you show up drunk, that was the only catch." Lovingly severe, Frawley unsurprisingly concurred. His enthusiasm for the role was palpable. The actors portraying Ethel Mertz and Fred Mertz were significantly younger than each other. Their appearance was another area where they struggled. I am certain of it. What was the most insane aspect? They were 22 years old apart, which contributed significantly to their animosity. At the start of the show, William Frawley was 64 years old, while Vivian Vance was 42 years old. He's a little older than me isn't the only explanation. There is a significant disparity in age. Instead of being her husband, he could have passed for her dad. Frankly, that was how Vivian truly felt. When they first met, they hit it off. Nothing spectacular happens. However, Vivian noticed something that captivated her attention. She couldn't help but ask, "Really?" as she beheld her youthful beauty and the fact that she was still in her prime, in stark contrast to Frawley's grouchy old age. "Could this be my on-screen spouse?" Then she blurted out, "Nobody will believe I'm married to that old goat while doing drills. So you want to know something?" She spoke with Frawley. Oh no. Think about the pressure that built up afterwards. Seriously though, was anyone to blame her? The guy she was paired with looked more like an uncle in retirement than a life partner, despite the fact that she was a talented actor in her early 40s who was just starting out. Desi Arnaz's gorgeous and energetic wife was played by Lucille Ball, her best friend on set. It was glaringly obvious, plus the show's producers were of no assistance to her. They deliberately did everything they could to ruin her appearance by doling out hideous clothing, heavy makeup, and anything else that might improve her appearance. Ethel appeared uninteresting in comparison to Lucy thanks to their efforts. However, Vivian's self-esteem, and frankly maybe her health, were eroded over time as a result of their actions. Keep in mind that the actual ages of Vivian and Lucy were quite near. Your friend gets to play the role of the beautiful wife in entertaining stories, while you are stuck being the clumsy spouse in an unbelievable dull marriage to a man old enough to collect Social Security. Vivian must have felt it was unfair. Your pride, your career, and the parts you continue to receive are all involved, so it's not simply about vanity. That's heartbreaking. It's also annoying. Just who are we talking to? Additionally, they took note. Someone even went so far as to call Fred and Ethel's marriage a miserable, sexless relationship. And what about Vivian? That's her emotional state. She felt like she was swallowing sour lemon juice every time she had to act out a scene where she had to express her love for Frawley. She would flat out reject his advances. The so-called air kiss, in which the actress's lips do not actually touch, is something she mastered. As shown in Equal Rights, they are supposed to share a passionate kiss while incarcerated. Be very careful, absolutely none. They practically scream, "I can't believe I have to do this again," with their distant gaze and strange, icy body language. Let us now turn to Frawley. He had no intention of ignoring this. He had too much. "Savage, right?" he would ask, before including insults about Ethel's appearance, such as describing her body as a sack full of doorknobs. What's interesting is that they were effective. Is the tension between them palpable to you? It heightened the show's comedic value. Real things were at stake in their argument, making it feel authentic. It was pure animosity encased in a script. That was not acting. Those who were present thought it was fantastic. However, you secretly despised negativity like that. Not only were the jokes and ridiculous costumes offensive to Vivian, but she also felt trapped in a relationship and role that made her feel extremely uneasy. She was forever overshadowed by Ethel Mertz, the obnoxious wife of this older man, regardless of how far she advanced in her profession. That particular detail clung to her like gum on shoelaces. She recalled the sacrifices she had to make to maintain her role on I Love Lucy, in addition to the fame and laughter she had experienced there. The best part is that CBS actually greenlit a Mertz's spin-off when the idea was proposed. Important. What a fantastic opportunity. There's money available. His bonus was $50,000, 0 cents, and that was just to get it done. She spoke up and said, "No, it's not happening." She could not risk spending more time with Frawley without Lucy and Desi's protection, so she said, "Not for money or love." To refuse such a large sum of money just because you have no interest in working with that individual again would be terrible. That tells you everything. Yes, their on-screen collaboration was well known, to answer your question. Yet, there was a price to pay. Every day, Vivian endured an intense, raw agony beneath all the laughter and stage magic. She had a lot of problems due to the fact that she was 22 years older than Frawley. What is the age disparity? It was all about the numbers, but there were also unrealized opportunities, poor self-esteem, and an overwhelming amount of work that persisted even after the cameras stopped rolling. It's crazy how real-life tragedies can inspire some of the best television. Do you agree that it makes you question the whereabouts of other hit series? It was hilarious to watch Fred and Ethel Mertz bicker on I Love Lucy as if they were long married. However, what if I were to inform you that the strain wasn't limited to their performance, but William Frawley wasn't the only one Vivian Vance disliked? She despised him. It took years before anyone figured out why. This was a major event, but is there any truth to it? For quite some time it lay dormant this far. Interpret it for me. How terrible was Frawley really? Had Vance gone overboard? On the other hand, was the strained working relationship the only factor in this altercation? This isn't your average Hollywood brawl. If you're looking for a story that will keep you engaged from beginning to end, go no further than this one. Embrace the cold shoulders and open insults. It all started with a subtle, uncomfortable atmosphere. However, it quickly escalated into a legendary feud in the annals of classic television. And, to tell the truth, bad things started happening soon. You and your co-star aren't getting along or enjoying yourselves while filming one of the most iconic sitcoms of all time, I Love Lucy. Rather, you're shooting each other sideways between takes, jabbing in a passive-aggressive manner and eagerly awaiting the end of the day to escape their presence. William and Vivian had a similar experience playing the antagonistic Fred and Ethel Mertz, respectively. Their on-screen brawls brought a smile to everyone's face. But what really went down behind the scenes? Unpredictable mayhem masquerading as classic Hollywood snark. My darling. Playing Fred, William Frawley took it seriously when Ethel's Vivian Vance expressed her distaste for being sexually paired with that old man. Vance likely meant well, but her statement was suspicious all the same, a man gone insane. War ensued subsequent to that. The show's primary writer and director, Greg Oppenheimer's dad, claimed that Frawley's personal reaction was the turning point. But hold on a second, because things are about to turn ugly. Clearly, Frawley was not the reserved sort. Absolutely not. He had a reputation in Hollywood for being nasty, aggressive, and unforgiving, particularly towards female actors. According to Audrey Cooperberg, who was involved in the writing of Meet the Mertzes, he had a reputation for hating women. When one considers that he also had a drinking problem and an enraged temper that could melt steel, it becomes clear why he and Vivian had a strained relationship. He even resorted to using profanity in an interview, which made a bad impression. Their feud was well known in Hollywood. No one could have spent more than 5 minutes on set without overhearing it. Despite their rudeness, they maintained a professional demeanor throughout. Their performances were flawless. They delivered their lines without letting the animosity overshadow the show. Despite this, the tension between Fred and Ethel was palpable. It wasn't acting, but rather genuine, unfiltered annoyance masquerading as comedy, which added an exciting dimension to their scenes. This was Fred and Ethel. Frawley enjoyed making unscripted jokes about Ethel's appearance or annoying habits, and Vance, who wasn't easily swayed, would respond with lines like, "Oh, fat Freddy." These lines weren't always in the script either. They said them because they really didn't like them. It was funny, but it was about them. It worked on screen, but what's really strange is that some historians of television believe that this profound, almost comical animosity may have enhanced the show. The actors' incessant bickering felt so genuine because, well, it was. Serious TV in the 1950s made them dislike each other not because they didn't like being in the same room, but it worked like magic. So what? Let's not pretend they ever intended to put the fight behind them. After I Love Lucy ended, CBS attempted to create a separate show for Fred and Ethel. The funny part is that William Frawley said, "Sure, let's do it," likely due to financial considerations, But Vivian? Oh no, sis, stop that right away. She said she would never work with him again. That was it. Vance said absolutely not, so there was no meeting and no fake smiles for the cameras. And who could blame her? So, this wasn't your average TV fight where people just didn't get along. People were really angry with each other for years through 6 seasons, and it's still talked about today. It's the kind of fight that leaves scars on Hollywood history. It's strange when you think about it, isn't it? I mean, how does that happen? Maybe that's just how show business works. Love and hate are mixed up, and even the worst pairings make the screen brighter. The spin-off that never happened is 1957, and I Love Lucy is coming to an end after changing the way TV shows are made. It wasn't just a show, it was the show. It was sad, funny, crazy, and just dramatic enough to keep most people watch for Lucy's antics and Ricky's charm, but Fred and Ethel Mertz were really interesting. Do you get what I mean? That cranky old owner and his sassy wife were both funny in their own right. They fought all the time, but it was cute how they did it. Think about how excited everyone was when CBS and Desilu Studios came up with the brilliant idea of Fred and Ethel having their own show. That wasn't merely a lunchtime idea, it was a well thought out plan that had the full backing of CBS, a major network, and Desilu, a massive production company headed by Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Hey everyone, how about we shine a light on Fred and Ethel for a change? The pitch was clear, honest, and to be honest, kind of brilliant, Desi said to William Frawley and Vivian Vance while smiling broadly. Well, it was ripe for growth. The Mertzes were obviously well liked by the audience, they were charming and humorous as a couple, and their love-hate relationship enhanced I Love Lucy. As the couple next door, they bickered about little things, but supported each other when it counted. The viewers loved them, and they knew it. They considered a multitude of possibilities. Fred and Ethel could relocate to Los Angeles or Albuquerque, where they would encounter fresh challenges. They could reunite with old acquaintances like Carolyn and Charlie Appleby, or they could be joined in a feud by new neighbors. The actor portraying Fred was enthusiastic about the opportunity. He saw it for what it was, a second chance at stable, long-term employment in an industry that didn't always treat older artists kindly. To put it another, Boro Mini out, flat out refused. And she didn't merely say, "Let me think about it." No, she absolutely refused. What's more, she locked the door, threw away the key, and set the entire house on fire. To top it all off, they offered her a substantial amount of money, a lot of extra money, the kind of money that would make most people pause and think. But Vivian, she remained motionless. What's going on? Why would someone reject a financially rewarding opportunity? The answer is bittersweet. First, she hated William Frawley. Her animosity towards him had been simmering for years, and she tolerated him on I Love Lucy because Ricky and Lucy helped alleviate the tension. But the prospect of working with him weekly on her own? That was a tough pass for her. Imagine spending every day with someone who makes you angry, with no way out. Secondly, she didn't think the Mertzes could handle running the show alone. That's a very astute and self-aware perspective. The magic of I Love Lucy came from the friendship between the four of them. Fred and Ethel were funny when they were part of Lucy and Ricky's lives, but as leads, it didn't make sense to her. She really thought the show would not work without all the actors getting along, and to be honest, she might have been right. But let's look further. Well, in that New York apartment, Vivian was also thinking about her future outside of that set. She had been Lucy's friend for years. She was funny, but she